It's easy to lose sleep when you're worried about your health insurance plan. But when you have a family counting on you to take care of them, having the right coverage is more important than ever. That's why Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is here to help. With low to no cost plans for you and your family, so you never go it alone. That's our Anthem. Click to learn more.
Okay, here's how Miro works. See, it's amazing.
What's everyone doing at David's desk? Ever since marketing started using Miro's collaborative online whiteboard, he thinks all our other teams should sign up. Why? He says Miro's making his meetings disappear. And if every team gets on it, that means even less meetings. They're using Miro for brainstorms, mind maps, customer research.
So could we use Miro instead of having another 100 meetings for every round of feedback?
Yep. You can comment, react to ideas, even leave a recording on the board.
And what about presentations?
There are Miro templates for that.
How do you know so much about Miro?
I've actually been using it all along. I just used a Miro board to plan the best vacation.
Okay, I'm on board.
See how Miro users save up to 80 hours every year by meeting less and doing more. Get on board at Miro.com with 3 boards free forever. That's MIRO.com.
What's up, y'all? This is Neena Perez, and this is Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. Thank you guys for chilling with us today. You know, I love to be on here with you. Make sure that you share, subscribe, like, all that great stuff so that we can keep growing this amazing community, because you know I go around this amazing planet finding the best human beings I can find to come on here to grow, challenge, and transform your thinking. And today I am so thrilled because I have Ahmad Burse here with us, and he's a seasoned expert with over 30 years in military and federal leadership development. I love that, and I can't wait to get into that with you. My husband is a vet, so I'm loving this already, and he specializes in coaching veterans through career transition and advancement, and his unique approach not only navigates the complexities of the job market, but it also champions inclusive workplaces. So let's dive into this, and let's discover what Ahmad has here for us. So thank you for hanging out with us, and thank you for reaching out to Straight Talk. I love having conversations with like real people that are out there doing some good stuff. So I am glad you're here. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. And before we begin, I'd just like to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. But I'm not sure if anyone's told you, but you have such a great presence.
Oh,
Honestly,
thank you.
you just
I
kind of
appreciate
like
that.
you can feel the energy coming right off of you. So just saying,
It's too much for some people. It's too much for some people, but I really appreciate you saying that. I do have a lot of energy. My husband says the same thing. He's like, what is going on? I'm like, I don't know. It's ADHD. I don't know what to tell you. So, Ahmad, I'm really glad you're here. And so I want to start off like I always start off, right? I have an amazing audience, and they are always like DMing me and emailing me and commenting on the great people that I have here. So I want to know a little bit more about you. So let's start there. Who are you? Who are you?
Well, my name is Ahmad Burse, and I guess you'll get more into it as we go through this podcast. But I was in the military for 23 years. I got out. After getting out, I found employment. After finding employment, I realized that I wanted to provide more. I wanted to give back more. I wanted to have a greater impact. So then I became a corporate coach for veterans, specifically veterans who are transition in that transition process, because that can be very frustrating. And it's a time where the veteran themselves are vulnerable. So then and that's what I do. In regards on the diversity, equity, and inclusion side, a lot of agencies don't have veterans employee resource groups. So I kind of advocate for that. Not that veterans are this group that's outside the norm. However, they have unique challenges.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I don't think people understand what those challenges are. And maybe they may come out in a way that doesn't necessarily shine right for the veteran, or the company may have their reservations about bringing this person on. So that's kind of like in a light nutshell of me.
Wow, that's great. And, I'm glad you're being a voice for the veterans out there too, because you're right. There is a unique set of challenges. My father was a vet as well. He passed away many years ago, but he was in Vietnam and he came back with a lot of challenges, right? A lot of challenges. So, um, tell me a little bit about what got you into the military to begin with. Was that something that you've always aspired to do, or were you a kid that was getting into trouble and you had to get put into the military? Tell me a little bit about that story.
So then before I get into it, I want to just talk about what you just said. Can you imagine a time in, society where if you weren't doing what you're supposed to do, they tell you to go to war, go to jail? I
Right.
mean, can you just think, I mean, just think about that. Like, hey, listen,
Yes,
you can either sign on the line and you're going to go to the military or you're going to jail. I mean, like
that's
that is
right.
the, I don't know if I could have dealt with that, but,
Right.
but no, that wasn't the case. My mom and dad both were in the military,
Oh,
and the thing about it was I'd seen my mother grow. She was a single parent, so then I'd seen her going. She was a reservist. Weekend warrior was the title at the time, and seeing her, and it was kind of instilled in me. I'm an only child. Hey, listen, you serve your country. Your country's done a lot of things
that's
for you,
awesome.
so
Yeah.
you need to go ahead and serve your time. So
Mhm.
actually, my military career, I would say, began in ninth grade when I went to JROTC. The high school
Uh-huh.
ROTC, and then from there at 17, I joined. 16 and a half really, and I
Wow,
went
you
to
were
the military
young.
when I was 17, and
Mhm.
then 23 years later, that's
Wow.
that's what. And it's funny because when I joined the military, uh, it said that the Army's logo or the Army's theme was "Be all you can be," and I did as much stuff as I could in the military. I did honestly. I would say I didn't have this super career, but I did a lot of things. Everything that I
Yeah.
wanted to do, I did. And it's funny that now that's their motto now: "Be all you can be" to get folks.
Mhm.
So then that's what
You
got
know,
me into the military.
I kind of wish that we would make all of the kids go to military, to be honest with you, right? I think, because I say that because I grew up also wanting to be a part of the army. I wanted to be a military police officer, something I always wanted to do. Because I knew in my life I needed discipline. I needed discipline in my life because I wasn't getting it at home. And so when I became 18, I went to enroll. And as I was being sworn in, the officer looked at me and goes, "Wait a minute, you have a box here that says you have a kid." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "So you're giving up custody of your kid?" I'm like, "Absolutely not." And he's like, "Well, if you don't give up custody, you can't join." So that was really hard for me, but I could not leave my kid with just anybody. So I decided not to go that route. But I say all that to say that I have so much respect for people who join the military, so much respect. I think it's because I've seen my uncles, my dad, my husband, you know what I'm saying, do serve their country. And it gives you a level of respect, doesn't it? It gives you a level of respect for your country or what you're fighting for. It just, I don't know, it gives you structure. Did you find that in your life as well? Like, did you find that your life maybe would have been different, or your thought process would have been different had you not joined the military?
Oh, most definitely. My thought processes would have been different if I would not have joined the military. And I think for me, and that's one of the things that's really important in working with veterans
Mhm.
is I've met a lot of friends that have left the military, and the only thing that they can, reference that was a value in their lives was their times in the military, and that's
Right.
unfortunate. So then, oh yeah, the military framed me for a lot of things, but at the same time, in leaving the military, I realized that I had skill sets to be successful that just weren't from the military. You
Mhm,
understand?
mhm.
Because like whenever I
Yep.
left, that's like my main thing was I didn't want the military to be, like the reference point for my life because that's what
Right.
happens with so many people. And it's not, it may be, for some folks they got injured or something occurred, and so that's their reference point. It's like, everything from that point stopped, and I didn't want
Yeah.
that to be that. I didn't want that for me. But oh yeah, the military changed. I mean, it exposed me to a lot of things. But I guess also the thing about it is like I joined to serve my country, but also I was like I want to travel the world. Single
Mhm.
parent, you're not. I don't have the money flowing in, so I have to come up with a better solution if I want to get around. 'Cause the
Right.
journey and uh, well, Bosnia, Hungary. I've done a lot of things, and
Right.
I'm not saying that I couldn't have done it without the military, but it might have just taken me a little bit more time. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just
Absolutely.
interesting, how it's a positive, but and I think you still have to sign. You're not allowed to join if you're a single parent. But when my mother got pregnant with me, when she was in the military, they kicked her out. I mean,
Yeah.
no, and it was like, and me and her have had those conversations. It's like, wow, it's like, really? It's like, yeah, they just said, hey, you got to go. It's like,
Yeah.
wow. And
Right? I know,
but
it's
things have
unfortunate.
changed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they've definitely changed. They're changing, all right.
Oh yeah.
We're not gonna get into that, but yes, they're changing.
Yeah, things are
But
changing.
so tell me a little bit about why you got into doing what you're doing because you're really helping vets with transitioning. So was this something that you wanted to do when you got out of the military, or was it something that you kind of just realized there was a need for?
Well, um, I will say this. Uh, Whenever I left the last unit I was in was a Warrior Transition Battalion. So then the Warrior Transition Battalion helped transition wounded and ill soldiers because it was during the time OEF and Afghanistan, Enduring Freedom and
Hmm.
Iraqi Freedom were kind of, they were in full tilt, and so you had a lot of injured and wounded soldiers. So once they came to the battalion, they assessed them to find out, okay, all right, are you going to be able to um, heal and then get back into, go back to the fight, or are you going to, end up having to transition because of your injuries? And we were a part of the care team, and that
Mm,
it's just such a different, like when you get a soldier who and it was just they were in bad situations. Like you get blown up in daggone Afghanistan. You come home, you find out your spouse has, stepped out. I mean, we're talking
right.
real, so that's real.
Right.
So
Yeah.
and your kids are somewhere with with your best friend and your spouse, and you meet a person who is broken, both physically and mentally, and
Yeah.
then you provide care to them and you bring them back. It's like, hey, listen, and that was part of the things that we did, and it really changed how I looked at things. We did a good job trying to help soldiers transition. So then it showed me like a blueprint to how I needed to transition. I had about 90 days, not 90 days, but I'd say it was about 90 days because once I decided to say, hey, listen, I'm leaving the military, my chain of command supported me, and it's like, okay, all right, like I'm not doing this anymore, I'm not doing that anymore, and it allowed me to leave. Although when I transitioned, it was still a battle because hey, you got to
Mhm.
find gainful employment. Hey, you have this family here. What are you going to do? How are you going to support them? So I think the main thing that in helping people transition is that I'm giving them a real world. Hey, listen, I understand that you're telling me that when you go back home that your Uncle Phil has a job for you, and he's been holding it for all this time, but that's pretend, because the real deal is you better have you a good plan. And one of the things I
Mhm.
always talk, if you have the ability, take 90 days of leave if you can. And the purpose of that is for you to kind of like for you to kind of decompress, um, because in the military you're constantly moving. You're
Right.
constantly moving. So things that you don't have the opportunity to kind of process things like uh, I've had soldiers trying to commit suicide, death, broken relationships. You don't process them. When you get out of the military, that trauma is still there. And
Right.
now that there's no reason for you not to process it, those things start coming up. Another part about it is, for intensive purpose, for all purposes, you don't really know who you are. Because to
Right.
be successful in the military, honestly, all you got to do is just, I need to do A, B, C, and D, and I'll get promoted. Yep. And that's it. So
Right.
then, you kind of, you're that square that's going into the circle that's too small, and you kind of beat yourself into there to be successful. But when you leave, I mean, you're still that same person. So, you have to have some kind of systems in place to allow yourself to kind of, decompress, kind of figure out who you actually are, not the
Hmm.
person, not that representative that you were while you were in the military to be successful. So then
That's
there's a
so
lot of,
powerful.
yeah, there's a lot of, and in talking about identity, a lot of times, uh, from my experiences, military folks kind of, their identity is within their rank and their position. And it's like, you get out, it's like, I don't give a explicative about who you were. I told you to do whatever,
Right.
it's, and so like there's a lot of that they have to, that I had to process, to then now those transition soldiers, transitioning persons have to process. Like, listen, you're not this person anymore. And frankly, they don't care. So, you're going to have to figure out better tools, better methods, better ideas for working with people, addressing problems. So, yes.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you decided to go in this direction, this niche as well, because there needs to be more people like you, quite honestly. I've spoken to a lot of coaches, a lot, right? I've been doing this for many years. So I think I'm at like episode 300 and something. So I've spoken to a lot of people, and I don't think I've spoken to anybody yet who is coaching veterans the way you are. Which is really powerful, right? It's powerful because you are in a market that is super needed, but also not really being looked at, right? So tell me about your process. So what is your process of some is do you capture. Hey there, my amazing community of straight talkers. I just wanted to give a quick announcement because I wanted to introduce you to a transformative life coaching program that I have made exclusively for women. I want them to break free from shame and embrace their true potential so that they can build that life and business that they have always wanted. Now, our transformational coaching will guide you, we will help you, we will uncover your passion, your goals, and will develop your roadmap to success. Visit me at neenaperez.com and you can join an amazing community of women that are on the same trajectory as you, because I want you to create that life and business you deserve and transcend that shame and unwanted behaviors. So don't wait any longer. Visit neenaperez.com and let's embark on this journey together. Now back to the show. Capture them before they leave the military? Do you capture them after they leave the military? Like, what does your process look like?
Well, and unfortunately, you don't know what you don't know until you don't know. And that's kind of crazy to say. But, for a lot of folks, for a lot of military folks who are like, hey, I got this, I got this. And it's not until, some type of significant emotional event occurs, some type of, hey, listen, something that kind of shakes you to say, hey, listen, I don't have this. Maybe I need to reach out to someone that has the skills. So I'd love to talk to folks on their as they transition, but that doesn't happen that way. A lot of times folks don't want to talk after they, during their transition. You know, if I was in the military for 23 years. So if you imagine, I had 3 months, I had time to transition, but that's 23 years of memories that you're cramming into 90 days.
Right.
Like where,
Right.
if where are you staying at? Do you have a house? What, just your finances, just a lot of things that your mind isn't there. And then it may not be there until you have to look at it. So then, I mean, that's part of it. But that's your story as a transitioning veteran. I mean, you're going to get
Right.
through this. However, sometimes you just gotta, that might be the way to learn. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
so then, and that's the average human being, the average person is not going to probably have the foresight to kind of look at things and say, hey, well, what if I don't get this? Well, what if this doesn't happen? Oh no, and it's going to happen that way because I'm doing this and doing that, because you can do all the right things, but then
Right. Of
something
course.
could occur, and it's just like that one thing. And it's like funny, they say the average person is a paycheck away from bankruptcy or losing their home. Well, that's the same thing for military folks.
Yep. Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
honestly, that's that just, hey, just because you're in the military doesn't mean, hey, you got doesn't mean like you have these unlimited finances and everything's
Right.
running off the, no, that's not the case. So it's
Right.
just realizing, and that's another thing I think, in talking about identity. I don't think when I transitioned I believed that life was real. And it's like when you get out, it's like, oh man, this is real. Like, people are struggling, like people are having challenges, like,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're
Mm-hmm.
out of that environment for so long, it can be a culture shock.
I'm sure. I mean, 23 years is a long time, right? And you were used to a certain regimen, a certain schedule, a certain, way of doing things. So that must have been like really shocking, I would think, right? Like when you're walking out and now you're a civilian, it's all different, right? You're not really reporting to anybody per se. You don't really have the structure in place. Now you got to get work because the military is not paying you. So there's a lot of things that happen, right? And I know that for people in my family who were in the military, also had the added benefit of being an addict, right?
Yeah.
So there was that as well, right? And so there's a lot of moving pieces here. Now, when somebody calls you, Ahmed, and wants to work with you, is it like a coaching program? Like, is it like a few months? Is it just a week? Are you just helping them find services? How is it that you're helping these
It's
vets?
90 days.
Oh,
And
okay.
but the thing about it is, it just, that initial conversation I found on, what do you want? Because things kind of evolve into, you may say you want to do A, B, C, and D, but you may not be aware that you have, E, F, and G options. So it's
Right.
talking or making sure it's like, hey, and I think, for a lot of people in just mentoring folks, if you've been out there and you're not able to get to where you need to go, you kind of lose your confidence, because this is, I mean, it's not, it is a challenge when you are very much regimented, and all you have to do is this, and then you get out and it's like, I remember one of my friends, uh, and she was angry. She was extremely angry when she got out, because she's like, no one told me how to wear heels, no one told me how to wear dresses. And it's like, because she had been in, for 20 something years, so her
Wow.
young life, she as a a teenager in her early 20s, she's in the military, so she's just wearing uniforms. And then she gets out, and she doesn't know how to, wear, she doesn't know how to purchase a professional suit. She doesn't understand about, what jewelry you wear and you don't wear during an interview, or how to present yourself. And it's
Wow.
that's just, and people just don't think about it.
Never
They
thought of
just
that.
don't.
Yeah, I never
Yeah,
thought of that.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So then
Right.
it's just like little, and that's what you have someone like me for. I remember I put a posting on LinkedIn, the importance of your appearance, for a man and for a woman, but a suit. A suit is your armor. A suit speaks for you. And teaching folks how to interview is like, even if you're on a telephonic interview and it's not Zoom, get dressed in your suit and stand up, because
Yeah.
people can hear that during the interview. And it's
Yep.
just like little things that folks aren't aware of. It sounds weird, but you can tell.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
just wearing that, like for me, wearing a suit was like putting on a Superman outfit, and it just gave me confidence. And that's, giving folks that confidence, that that nudge to say, hey, listen, you got it. You can do this. These are some things you need to kind of work on, so you can make sure that they understand that you can do it.
Now, does the military or anybody that maybe you knew in the military or anything, talk to these people coming out, talk to the people transitioning about services like yours, or are you pretty much out there looking for your own clients? Like, I was just wondering, if what you do can be a part of the service that they give people transitioning. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Well, and I know in the Army, and I think in the other services, there's a program called the Transition Systems Program. It's TAP,
Okay.
and
Okay.
they provide services, but that the TAP program is like a week long, if that. So once
Oh,
again, you got 23 years, of,
right.
and then, so you're going to combine all that into a week. So then they had another service, Hire Heroes USA. Um, those are the folks that I went. They came to our agency, and they gave us like interviewing skills, like how to write your resume, things of that nature. And that's that was outside of the Army's contracted stuff, but they were excellent. They came, and I kudos to them, because
Mhm.
I tell you, those folks kind of helped me. This is what you've done. This is the way this resume needs to transfer to get. This is what you want. So
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
I had a lot of different. I had a lot of good. I would say I had a lot of good experiences, and just a lot of blessings that came my way. I'm very
Mhm.
grateful for. So
Yeah, well, I mean, you're now being a blessing to others, right? I mean, you're being
yes,
a blessing to people who need that support and that help. And you, like you said, you can't do it in a week. You just you can't. I mean, you
no,
can't. Nothing in life really. When you're going through any transition in life, right?
mhm.
It doesn't take a week. That's so. It makes me laugh because how did they even think that was a good idea? Like
Well,
I don't know.
well, see, like, but to see the thing about it is, it's like, so then for a lot of agencies, so then the transition when I was in the military, the transition assistance program, you it was mandatory that you attend, and if you didn't attend, leadership would get in trouble. But you can attend up to 90 days before you. The goal is you go there for that week 90 days before, and then a couple weeks before you actually transition. You go twice, so that way the first time you can get everything rolling, and the next time you can. But at the time we were deploying, I mean, there was always something.
Yeah.
They always needed people, and then if you're deploying all the time, they're not trying to hear anything about you trying to get out. So it was just a lot of and then unfortunately, once you're out, you're out. It's like, hey, thanks a lot, peace, one
Mhm.
love. And
Yeah.
and I think that's one of the things that I was aware of when I left. And whenever I talk to people, I let them know, hey, it's the same everywhere you go. It's like like if you're working at a job and you get fired, next week they won't remember you. That month they'll have someone replacing you. So that's some of the things you got to keep in mind.
Mm. Mm.
That this isn't one of those, because it was a challenge for me, because I kind of held the value, so loyalty to the organization, and I'm at this job and these folks aren't loyal.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I bet it is interesting. So, for those who are listening, right? Because I have a lot of leaders and entrepreneurs, CEOs, and stuff that listen to the show.
Mhm.
And I know that we all know someone, we do, who has served or is serving or about to leave. And so, from what I'm gathering is you're helping them kind of navigate from when they come out to what the real expectations in the world is going to look
Oh
like.
yeah.
Right? That's what it sounds like you're doing with them. So I'm just wondering, if somebody's listening right now and want to contact you or have somebody work with you, how do they do that? How do they get in contact with you? How do they call you, work with you, all that kind of stuff?
Well, they can reach me on uh, at my LinkedIn. They can look for me on LinkedIn. I'm
Hmm.
at first. There's a picture. There's a bald-headed African American male that's tilted sideways, smiling at you. That's me. And and
Okay.
so, or they can reach me at www.burseconsulting.com, and
Okay.
and either one of those has a link to my Calendly, and contact information, so they can just reach out to me, and then I'll get you on my calendar, and we'll go from there. Uh,
That's
but
great. That's really great. I'm really glad that you're doing what you're doing. And I really hope that people who are listening understands the value of what you're doing, because I think that is, again, having military in my family, I saw the struggle. There was a lot of struggle.
well,
And yeah, go ahead.
I just want, because you had said in regards to struggle, I put a LinkedIn, I posted on LinkedIn, and I said there are three things that every veteran needs when they transition. And number one
Mm,
is they have a coach or a mentor. Uh, Number two, they need to have a team, a squad, meaning
mhm.
folks they can talk to. But the most important thing is they need to have a counselor or mental health professional.
Yeah.
And I think it's finally, we finally are getting that. Hey, listen, uh, I'm gonna tell you, if you've been in the army a year or 25 years, you have some type of trauma.
Mhm.
It's either,
Mhm.
I mean, from the initial process of coming into the military, or shooting guns or throwing grenades, you have some type of trauma. I'm
Mhm.
not being funny. And you
I
need to
believe it.
seek, I recommend you seek mental health, because it may not be that there's something necessarily wrong with the system. There might be something going on with you that
Mhm.
you're unaware of. And you see it time and time again. It's like you're super angry, or your affect is, you don't have an affect. You're just like there. numb.
Mm-hmm.
There might be something going on. That whole separation process from the military is a death. And so,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to, if you're a military person, go ahead and seek mental health. Don't beat
Yeah,
around the bush. Don't go kicking around, wasting years. People waste decades of their lives
I know.
in a funk and can't figure it out, and it's because you're dealing with some trauma. And
Right.
there's nothing wrong with that. Talk to someone,
Yeah,
please.
I was just gonna say that. There's no shame in that. There
No.
is no shame in that. And like I said, watching some people in my family turn to substance abuse and all that kind of stuff, that never really dealt with the issues, right? And I always wanted that for them because I knew that I mean, if I could see it on the outside, I can imagine what the storm
Mhm.
is on the inside.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I'm really, thank you so much for coming on Straight Talk and
Mhm.
for being a straight talker and for helping our vets out there. They need you. So I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your wisdom, and I'm really grateful that you showed up today. So thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you and thank you for your service. 100%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much. I knew that you would like him. Ahmed is really amazing, and I want to make sure that you follow him. So I'm going to link all of his information below. Make sure that you guys reach out, because if you are out here and you're transitioning, or you're thinking of transitioning out of the military into being a civilian, and it's not that it's so impossible that you can't do it, but sometimes we just need that little bit of support to help
Absolutely.
us get through. And there's nothing wrong with that. Stop being a tough guy or tough girl, because you're in the military, so you got to be tough. You don't. There is a lot of strength and vulnerability. There's a lot of strength and vulnerability. So when somebody is out here who has the experience, who has been there, who has transitioned, who is out here helping you, you guys got to take advantage of the help. Thank you guys so much for being here. I love you so much. This is Neena Perez, Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. Until next time.
It's easy to lose sleep when you're worried about your health insurance plan. But when you have a family counting on you to take care of them, having the right coverage is more important than ever. That's why Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is here to help. With low to no cost plans for you and your family, so you never go it alone. That's our Anthem. Click to learn more.
Israel is 5,690 miles away from the U.S., 11 hours by plane. Hate travels faster. In a comment, in a post, in a second. Jewish hate is up 388% in the U.S. Black hate, Muslim hate, and Asian hate are up too. When one hate rises, they all do. Let's stand up to all hate together. Share and wear the blue square from standuptojewishhate.org.